Um, my name is Geisha, and I'm just going to take this off because I want to see your face. And I'm going to read to you today and share with you an author called Roald Dahl. A big part of why I want to share this book, if you haven't read Roald Dahl's work before, is because when I was younger, at my school, I spent a lot of time alone. And sometimes having a book next to me kind of felt like I could be in my own little world. I had a friend with me as well, at recess, at lunch. And I found that a lot of Roald Dahl's books, be it Matilda, The Witches, the BFG, which I'm going to read to you today, all of them talk about kids who maybe have differences, maybe they're not always feeling like they fit in. And it's okay because we're gonna go on these grand old adventures and eat snozzcumbers. So, you know, reading also, why I want to share with you this book is it really made me fall in love with reading, which eventually got me to fall in love with writing. And even though sometimes what I write isn't great, I feel like also writing, sometimes just in your diary, keeping a journal, whatever, even if I didn't read it back right away, 5 years later I would read it and I'd learn so much more about myself. And also, it was very cool in the way where being in my own little world while writing was pretty amazing. So I'm going to read you this book now. It's called The BFG, and it's about an orphan named Sophie. And this chapter is called The Witching Hour. And also, I hope you get horribly addicted to this book, because reading it and watching the movie after you read it is amazing. So, and my phone's loading, so I guess I'm gonna have to do some stand-up comedy at the same time. This is a yoga pose I call the Ashley Simpson. You're too young for that. You're too young for that. There we go. I think I might. You know, while my phone is loading, Tomboy, you want to do a little dance with me?
I'll do a dance.
You want to do a dance?
Yeah.
Let's give you a dance.
What kind of dance should we do?
The Macarena.
Macarena?
Ooh, they can all do
Ooh, girl!
Everybody!
Girl!
Everybody
I don't
can
know
get up and
Macarena
dance.
either. That's false advertising.
Maybe everybody should get up and dance.
It's gonna help you with Macarena.
Woohoo!
You're gonna come out, let's do it, Macarena? Woo! Give him a hand! The Macarena?
Alright.
The Macarena is an ancient Mexican dance that involves us putting, I believe it goes like this.
Yeah. Great.
And then you touch your bum, and then a Macarena.
Yeah.
Want to do it all together? Okay. I'll do
Alright.
it here and you can copy me.
Okay. Alright.
Uno, dos, tres.
Nah, that's an ad. There we go.
Woo!
You're very
All
right.
right.
Go for my game. What's your name?
Peyton.
Thanks, Peyton.
Okay, Peyton, come on.
You're the coolest kid.
Yeah.
Savage.
Give him another round, y'all.
Woo!
This is not LTE. This is not LTE.
That is not LT.
It's almost finished. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for waiting, everyone. Thanks, Peyton. Appreciate you in my life. Okay. The Witching Hour. Sophie couldn't sleep. A brilliant moonbeam was slanting through a gap in the curtains, and it was shining right onto her pillow. The other children in the dormitory had been asleep for hours. Sophie closed her eyes and lay quite still. She tried very hard to doze off. It was no good. The moonbeam was like a silver blade slicing through the room onto her face. The house was absolutely silent. No voices came up from downstairs. There were no footsteps on the floor above either. The windows behind the curtain was wide open, and nobody was walking onto the pavement outside. No cars went by on the street. Not even the tiniest sound could be heard anywhere. Sophie had never known such a silence. And you know, actually, as I read more books, the witching hour, I believe, is probably at 4 a.m. I actually know, I've done like a lot of research, and I think a lot of cultures believe witching hour is precisely 4 a.m. Perhaps she told herself, this was what they called the witching hour. The witching hour, somebody had once whispered to her, was a special moment in the middle of the night where every child and every grown-up was in a deep, deep sleep, and all the dark things came out from hiding and to the world, revealed to the world themselves. The moonbeam was brighter than ever on Sophie's pillow. She decided to get out of bed and close the gap in the curtains. You got punished if you were caught out of bed after lights out, even if you said you had to go to the lavatory. And that's a fancy word for the bathroom, by the way. That was not accepted as an excuse, and they were punished just the same. But there was no one about now, and Sophie was sure of that. So, to continue this grand adventure, she reached out for her glasses that laid in the chair right beside her bed. They had steel rims and very thick lenses, and she could hardly see a thing without them. She put on her glasses, then she stepped out of bed and tiptoed over to the window. When she reached beyond the curtains, Sophie hesitated. She longed to duck underneath them and lean out onto the window to see what the world would look like now that the witching hour was at hand. She listened again. Everywhere, it was deathly still. The longing to look out became so strong that she could not resist it. Quickly, she ducked under the curtains and leaned out onto the window. In the silvery moonlight, the village street she knew so well seemed completely different. The houses looked bent and crooked, like houses in a fairy tale. Everything was pale and ghostly and milky white. Across the road, she could see Mrs. Rance's shop, where she bought buttons and wool and bits of elastic. It didn't look real. There was something dim and misty about that too. Sophie allowed her eye to travel further and further down the street. Suddenly, she froze. There was something coming up the street on the opposite side. It was something black, something tall and black, something very tall, very black, and very thin. That's it! You gotta go read the book now. Thank you so much.